Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to do something a little different, which is to try to do a tutorial on making letters for signs or custom patterns in Animal Crossing. I had a few extra days off and I realized that with the update that just came out in March that we all have quite a few more custom pattern slots available. And you might be interested in making signs or flags or other things that have words in them. As I was trying to put together words for my areas, I discovered that there wasn't much out there. The lettering is challenging in Animal Crossing, so I really did play around with it and have come up with a system that I think might help you all. So I am going to go ahead and try to do this tutorial to give you a little bit of the insight that I was able to figure out in making signs. And so I'm going to go step into my house and get started. Well, here I am in my house in my lovely office, and I am going to now show you how to do some lettering. And I'm going to start by mentioning the basics, and I will probably make one or two or maybe even three different videos depending on how much time this takes. At least during this first video, I want to at least explain the basics of how this works, and that should be enough to get everyone started. And either a second or third video, possibly, I will actually just go through each and every letter in case you want to actually see what I do for each and every letter, which could be a bit tedious, but maybe something that you're interested in. Anyway, so for the basics, let's go ahead and start putting down a background here. What I like to do, and you'll find out in a bit why, but I like to do a dark background with light lettering. It helps hide, so to speak, the tricks that I do, but you can certainly do this with a light color background and dark coloring lettering as well. So first, let's go ahead and fill all and change this background to a darker color. Right now I just chose the first one, which is red. It's a little bit bright. It probably doesn't matter, but I'm going to just tone it down a little bit here. Oh, that's good. So usually I change that first one on the left to my background color using that change color function. And then I'm going to skip this second color as orange for the moment. I'm going to go ahead and change this yellow one into the... Oops. Oh, keep editing. I'm going to keep editing. I pressed the wrong buttons. I'm going to change this yellow into the sort of light color that I want. So I like to make this kind of a white with a tiny, tiny, tiny hint of red. So that's what I've got. So I've got the red hue on the far left, vividness, just that second one from the left. So just a little bit away from white, and all the way to the brightness. So that's that first color for the lettering. And I'll make a few more as we go along and show you how I do that. All right, let's choose that. I am going to go ahead and start with the more challenging letters, and I'm going to do a couple copies of them. So this is the A, lowercase a, this is a lowercase o, and the lowercase t is also a bit of a challenge, and the uppercase B is by far one of the more difficult ones. Oops, let's try this again. And if you can get, or if I can get, any of these to work for you, then you should be all set to be able to figure out the rest of the letters yourself if you want. So as you can see on the left-hand side, where the programming, I guess, is choosing to smooth out certain edges, it actually looks kind of funny. The A has this little notch on the left, the O is very square, the T looks like it has like a smudge instead of an actual cross there, and the B is not even close. It looks like it could be an E. So what I'm going to do is just make another copy here for you so you can see how it differs as I start manipulating what the program does to soften out some of the edges, and to sharpen other ones that I want. So let's go ahead and get this B in here. So what is a little bit challenging is, like I said, is that this program or Animal Crossing wants to smooth out certain edges. But it looks like if you know that, you can kind of take advantage of that. So I'm going to use this orange because it's orange. And once you put it in a certain place, you can see that it'll actually move the white or that very light pink into a smoother line. So if I put an orange dot here, right there, it actually decides to smooth out the white part. Obviously there's this big orange smudge there, but we'll move that in a bit. Also, for these kind of sharp right angles, if you put another color, a color that's different enough from that color that you already have, which is that light white, it'll actually try to push or soften that edge. So I'm going to do that for all four corners of this O, and you can see on the left-hand side in that preview section, on that preview easel, that it actually looks like a round O now. Obviously we have these funny orange dots around it, which we don't want, but you can see how placing a different color that's different enough from the original color actually moves or causes the program to smooth out certain areas. So I'm going to put a corner on each side of a couple sides of A to soften those edges of the A too. There we go. And already you can tell that there's a good difference compared to the original, which is down here on the bottom. So what to do with this orange part, which we don't want? What we do is we try to change it to a color that's similar enough to the background where it's hard to pick up, but different enough where it still causes the changes in these areas here that we're trying to make. So let's go ahead and change this orange color here. So go to change color. So the background was, what was it? It was a red, and I think the vividness was pretty high. Yes, so the vividness was right there, and the brightness was down. So it's probably around here, the original color. So what I'm going to do is kind of leave it close and start seeing what hues will pop out and see if I can pick one. So already the sort of orangey hue, which makes sense because it was originally an orange color that we put there, is already, if you look on the preview section on the left, it's already making those changes. Again, it's kind of not a great color, but at least I know that that orange will do it. And then we have some green here, which is kind of pleasant. We got the blues, so they'll do that. And we got some purples here. And I'm thinking that perhaps these purples might be a nice one because you can still see them, but they're not as prominent. Let's see if I can now adjust, fine-tune. I think maybe see if, I'm not sure here, maybe make it a little darker. Oh, that's a little bit dark. Let's change it back and see if we can decrease the vividness a little bit. Oh, that's actually more visible. Maybe a little bit more vivid. So you can feel around. I think I like this. Like I said, you can still see it, but it's a lot fainter. And if the eye is drawn to the letters, it's actually not easy to see. I'm not sure here. Yeah, I think if I change the vividness to, well, maybe if I darken it a bit. No, I like it a little bit closer to the red. Yes, this is good. This is where I want it. All right, so you can see on the left, again, that preview easel, that the A, that lowercase a, is looking a lot like a lowercase a, and the O is nice and round compared to the bottom half, which is, what was looking like in the original. Now for the T, what I like to do is try to change that little cross to a slightly different color, but very similar, if I can, to the original light color of the lettering. So right now, let's go ahead and I'm going to use that green and just stick it here. So you just touch it with that green. You can see how it just becomes sharper. It's not as smudgy. It looks a little bit more like a cross. And of course, you can't leave it green, so I'm going to change it back to close to the original color. So before it was a red hue, it was this close to vivid, almost the white. It was very bright. So I'm going to start by darkening it a bit here. So I'm going to see how dark it needs to go because it's a little bit more prominent. So I'm going to pick that. And I've discovered that if you use that that shade that we use to sort of kind of modify or kind of manipulate the color, the shaping here, if you do that to the T on both sides of the little extra cross there, it sharpens that as well. So what I've done is I've used a slightly darker, same hue, same vividness type of coloring for the letter, just making it a good several shades darker, and then touching the edges with this now purple, you know, that extra color that we're using to manipulate the shape, and it kind of brings that T or that cross out a little bit more, and as you can see compared to the bottom, again looking at that left preview easel. Now the B is much more difficult. I've had a lot of trouble figuring this out, but I've come to compromise a bit, which is to make it look like it's a little bit darker or shaded as opposed to an actual empty spot. So what you can see here is I've filled in that empty spot with that green, and you can see that the B is sort of starting to take a bit more shape. It's connecting those lines that were previously disconnected, so it actually looks like a B, but unfortunately there's that green spot there. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back to, again, our original color for the lettering, which was this red hue. The vividness was, you know, almost to the white, just barely, and before the brightness was all the way up here, right? So now it looks like an 8, but as you move the brightness down, you can see it starts filling in that darker color, so it becomes more like a B. And I'm just going to bring it down to as far as it goes. Again, it doesn't look perfect, but it's the closest I could figure out. And I'm open to ideas if anyone has them. And here I'm going to go ahead and round out the edges using that purple, that dark purple, again that color I'm using to manipulate the curves to round it out. So it looks like a B. So now you see again on that left hand side in that preview section that the A, O, T, and B look a lot closer to the actual letters than they were originally, which is what you see on the bottom. And if you can extrapolate these approaches to the rest of your letters, you're all set. Now, like I said, I'm going to make a couple more videos where I actually go through every lowercase letter and every uppercase letter. It'll be a little bit on the boring side, but for some of you, you might like to have that as a resource and use that for your future reference as you start making your own signs. I'm going to go ahead and put this out here so you can see what it looks like in Animal Crossing real life here. So let's go ahead and, oops, wrong button. Display our design pattern. Display here on a painting. There we go. So this is what it could look like. And again, those little purple dots, which we used again to manipulate the curves, the letters, you can see them, but they're not that prominent. And if the eye is drawn to actual wording, or if you have some other background type of pictures on the sign, most people will kind of look over them and not notice they're there. And you've got some really nice letters. All right, very good. Well, I hope you found this useful, and like I said, I'll add a few more videos, and I am looking forward to everyone making some great signs and flags and other custom sort of designs with lettering. All right, take care, and I hope you have fun with this. Bye-bye.